Hi, everybody. For the Love of Health web show, and here we are. We are always talking about health and wellness industry and what's going on with it, what kinds of things we can do to stand out in our industry, in our specific modalities, and to shed light on just how diverse our modalities and our paths really are. Everybody has such a unique way of going about their business. And that is what the show is highlighting. We are here today with Leesa Ellis, and Leesa Ellis is a self-publishing mentor for health and wellness businesses. So I'm really excited to have you, Leesa. This is going to be a great opportunity for people to learn about how to publish their own books, right?
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Yes, it's all about self-publishing. People quite often confuse me with a publisher, and I say I don't publish your book, I help you publish your book yourself. So you're the publisher, you're in the driver's seat, really, you're in control.
Awesome. And how long have you been helping business owners self-publish their own books?
Well, I went out full-time on my own in July 2019, but I'd worked in the industry first as a graphic designer in the printing industry. Then after about 5 years, I went into book design for a fine art and literary publishing house. And that was it for me. This is what I want to do. I knew that this would be, well, the work I was meant to do. And so it was always my intention that one day I would have my own business. And in July 2019, that was when I got the big push. It's time, let's do it. And since then, as I've been serving clients since July 2019 full time, and it's I absolutely love this work.
So what kinds of exciting opportunities have come your way since then? Any interesting projects that we should know about?
Well, some of the ones I have published, help people self-publish rather, is I decided that I would refine my niche by looking at the type of people who were drawn to me, and it seemed to be very much in the health, wellness, and personal development industries. I've done books for physiotherapists, physical therapists, all types of people in that type of work, life coaches, relationship coaches, a coach who supports mothers once they have empty nest syndrome and are thinking, well, how do I find myself again? It's been a huge variety. That was actually a really interesting book for the coach who supported midlife mothers. Her book was very interesting. It was called When She Wakes, She Will Move Mountains by Tanya Valentin. And it was a whole process of guiding the mother back to herself. She'd supported her kids all her life and neglected herself. And now she's saying, well, the kids have moved out. Who am I? That was a really interesting book, and it was great fun to work on. And very, very deep work around the Jungian archetypes.
So how are your ideal health and wellness and other clients, how are they getting into the conversation with you, Leesa, about, are they already looking to self-publish, or are they just beginning to, or are you the one that's kind of the catalyst to that decision-making in their end?
Well, quite often when I encounter people and they're either introduced to me or I meet them, and I tell them what I do, and they say, oh, I'd love to write a book. I have an idea and I can't stop thinking about it, but I've done nothing with it because I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. I don't know what's involved. I don't know the steps to getting a book self-published. And there's a difference between just quickly producing a book and getting it out there and uploading an ebook to Amazon, and to taking it through the full process of every step that a small press or a traditional publisher would take you. Everything from book coaching, editing, design and formatting, proofreading, setting it up for Amazon and other book distribution platforms, and then through to marketing, publicity, and launch. There's a lot involved, and it seems very overwhelming to people. So they don't know where to start, and it's all very confusing and scary. So my big role is to demystify the process and simplify it. And what I do with my clients is I hold their hand through every step. So when people come to me, they may have had an idea, they may have even started writing their book, but they may not have touched it in 2, 3, 4 months, weeks, years, because it just seems such a huge project, and they need that overview. They need to see, this is what you do, and yes, you can do it. It's possible.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I guess it's such a success. It's an obvious success at the end of the road because they have this book published, right? So it's very obvious. It's such a great feat to get through that first book. Now,
well, I always say it's a real bucket list item. You can tick that off your bucket list and say, I'm an author. I wrote a book. And it's exactly. Like, it's something, a real legacy to leave for your work and, for your family and loved ones too.
Exactly. And so feeding into that too, because I remember when we talked about this in a prior conversation, and I'm seeing evidence of this now too, especially with coaches, health coaches, and any health practitioner who's making an online statement, that books are also a really great lead generation tool. Can you explain?
Absolutely.
Can you explain what you meant by that a bit?
Well, the way I approach a book, I work exclusively with nonfiction writers, particularly female or heart-centered coaches and consultants in the health, wellness, and personal development industries. And the way I approach a book is exactly that, as a lead generation tool. We create a professional book to industry standards, which is a real credit to you and your business. And quite frankly, the average book, and I know this is going to sound harsh, but the average book is not going to sell tens of thousands of copies. Where the writer will get and the author will get their real return on investment is as a lead generation tool, because your reader reads your book, they go, I love what this person has to say. This book has changed my life. How can I work with her? Does she have a one-to-one coaching program? Does she have a mastermind, an online course, a group coaching program? It's a funnel into your high ticket offers. And that's, if you can pick up new clients through your book, think of the potential value if you're selling high ticket offers.
Yes, absolutely. So using it as a bit of like a top to funnel, not just a product that we're selling, but as a actual marketing device that really gives people the opportunity to understand some of our principal values, philosophies, some of our own systems in our work, formulas, and it gives people that opportunity to then be either get more context and to be invited into a larger offer or a larger program. Absolutely.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
But it's also physical, because for people who are in person, they could use it for the same reasons, right? Like a book party or a book reading, things like that.
Yes, well, and also if you're at all interested in public speaking, like guesting on podcasts, it's easier to get booked on a podcast if you have a book, to get scheduled as a guest. A lady I was talking to a few weeks ago, she speaks a lot at in-person events and on podcasts, and she was filling out the application form for one podcast in particular, and normally there'll be a question like, do you have a book? It's quite a common question. In this particular application form, the question was, what is the name of your book? It was expected that you would have a book. So it's like a book gets you scheduled more easily for podcasts. And it, what I say, it gives you impact, money, and authority. Because in the health and wellness and personal development world, where I have a little bit of a background as an energy healer, previously, not anymore. I'm totally focused on books now, but I'm actually a Karuna Reiki master teacher, and I'm passionate about the world of health and wellness and personal development. And oh gosh, I've lost my thread. I'm so sorry, Laura. Excuse me.
You mean the impact, the money? Is that what you mean?
The impact, the money, the authority. Thank you. Because that's what a book can give you. We go into that world of healing and health and wellness because we want to improve people's lives. We want to make a difference. So with a book, think of how many more people you can reach that even if you don't work with them, you can still positively make a change in their life by introducing them to your work. And it's like you have the impact, you're changing the world, you're making money from your high ticket sales, and you have authority because you're getting the professional respect and credibility you deserve as a practitioner or a therapist or a naturopath or a yogipreneur or a massage therapist or whatever particular niche you serve. So impact, money, authority are the three key things you'll get from a book.
You bring up a really golden point, Leesa, and that is that big question that I know a lot of people get asked eventually, where do you want your impact to be? Do you want it to really just be in the one-to-one single session where you're seeing a person and really you're making a huge impact, right? But then there's that other broader question of like, if you're casting seeds in a larger meadow, how many more people can still get little bits of little glimmers of what it is that you do? Is your business capable of that? Is there a larger mission or a larger goal involved here? So I think you're speaking to that, right? Like that the book it can be that way, that can help a lot of people.
Yeah. I was talking with a therapist in a group last week, and she was saying that what she liked about it was she could put not so much her whole process, but some of the pre-work in her book before someone comes to her. Even if they don't come to her, they've done some of the pre-work, they've got a taste, they realise, yes, this is actually a fit, this is something I need, and I'm ready to book that discovery call with so-and-so. So they can help far more people than they could ever help one-on-one. So they are making a difference in helping people. And perhaps whether they work with them or not, although the intention is that they're drawn into your funnel, you're helping so many more people than you can possibly reach one-to-one.
So was she using the book as a bit of her process to onboard a client and bring him into her system?
Well, that was basically it. It was like to help the people that she could never work with one-on-one for whatever reason. They perhaps couldn't, the fees weren't within their budget, or they had other reasons that they couldn't work with her right now. They had still done some of her pre-work and they had an understanding of how she worked and what she offered. So maybe at the right time, 1 year, 2 years down the track, they'll come back to her, because the lifespan of the average book ranges from between 20 to 60 years, depending on whether it's a paperback or a hardback. So that's a long time your message is working for you, compared to like the latest Facebook post, which gets buried in the feed in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, that's a really great point. And yeah, the legacy of like a paper article feature or like the PR as well. But it's nice that it's self-circulated, it's self-created. So it's another additional product.
Yes, I mean, and I have one client at the moment who's using it as like an upmarket business card. He has a bespoke physical therapy practice business, and he's going around all the doctors in his local area and leaving copies of his books with them as like an upmarket deluxe business card. And that's how he's getting bookings and referrals from those doctors. Oh, I know someone who can help you with that particular issue. Let me get that book and I'll look up his details for you.
I think that's a really brilliant idea, considering that every doctor has a waiting area and has an area for a couple local things that you naturally pick up a book while you're waiting for your appointments. That's a really brilliant move on their end. Not to mention that so many physical doctors and spaces, they don't have a lot of time to focus in on having conversations for referrals. So it's like really as easy as possible. With ease and customization is really the key with a lot of physicians. If they're going to be sharing items for people, it has to be all packaged for you, which a book is so easy to pick up.
Yes,
It's very
indeed.
obvious.
Yes.
Yeah, go on. Did you have something you wanted to add to that?
No, I just yes, that's exactly the way my client approached it, and it's working for him.
Awesome. And so what kind of a book is he writing?
That was a physical therapy book.
Awesome. Very cool. Yeah, I mean, so what is there like a step-by-step? Like what is the and it sounds like there's lots of steps involved from the fruition of the project. So how long do you generally, is it customized? Do you have like a deadline or a guideline suggestion for each writer, or is it just so individualized to each person?
It is a process. It takes about 4 months from beginning to end. Once we have your submitted manuscript, it goes into editing, then it goes into design and formatting, then it'll be proofread. Then we're doing a few things at the same time around about this point. The cover is also professionally designed, and that is one thing I would say to people: whatever you decide to do in terms of self-publishing a book, don't skimp on your budget for the cover. The cover is what the book lives or dies on. Don't try and do it yourself. Hire a professional, really. Is like, because when you think you've got a few seconds to look at that tiny little thumbnail on Amazon, it's got to stand out and be effective. And it takes a professional to do that. So once you get past getting ready to upload it for sale, we're also working on marketing, publicity, and preparing for launch day. We're setting up pre-orders for the Kindle version of the book. And there's a lot happening all at the same time. So that's where I feel I come in really handy, because I can guide someone through every step and make sure nothing gets missed.
Yeah, and it's so encouraging to hear that you work with physical therapists, people who, like, I know are so busy, like they're strapped with single service sessions, which is why my passion is to help those same individuals kind of be able to carve out online products, online opportunities, so that they're not trading time for dollars, that there's other opportunities that can open up for thought leadership.
Oh, yes. Well, the first physical therapist that I worked with, she ended up creating a course on the back of her book. That was her intention, and she did that. The book was a lead generation tool to her course, and the book looked lovely. We did a great job. It was professionally produced, and her course did well because of that. And it did so well that she was able to treat her husband to an all expenses romantic holiday in Hawaii, and it was all paid for by her course. So it was like she was able to treat herself because she made money. She got her name out there in a wider way. She's getting booked on podcasts. It's like, if you've got an online course that can monetize your book, because you've got to monetize the book, you've got to leverage it. You can't just have a book and hope it'll bring people to you. You've got to have an offer waiting for them. It might be sort of like 3 months of one-to-one coaching, if that's what your specialty is. But maybe you also have an online course that you can lead even more people into if they're not a fit for your one-to-one offer. If you have an offer waiting and ready to leverage your book, that's really a great way to get a return on investment.
Absolutely. And that's a great point, how to have what things should be set up, and if they were to encourage this type of book to other digital product pipeline. And so what if there were, we have a lot of practitioners who are just like beginning to go online, just beginning to enter their own concepts of what kinds of things they'd like to say as far as thought leadership goes. What would be the first step for them to developing their own book? Is it that manuscript, or what else should be on their mind in
Well,
preparation?
even just a concept. I mean, if someone wanted to talk to me, what I would say is, what's your book about? I mean, in my clarity calls, that's one of the first questions I ask, what's your book about? Everyone has an idea, but that's all you really need to get started, because if you need support in getting your book written, I can help with that as well. And a book coach in general, they can help you with getting the book written. If you feel you're struggling, or you need accountability, or you just don't know how to structure a nonfiction book, there is support out there if you want that. So all you need is an idea and the desire to self-publish, really, get your book out there.
Yeah, 4 months actually was surprising when you said 4 months. That's actually not a very long timeline, in my opinion.
No, it's getting the book to market fast. In trad publishing, which is what we call traditional publishing, you're looking at it probably around about 18 months to get a book from manuscript to launch.
Yeah. I'm in a book, a first book. It's a collaborative book with other writers. And I've gotten to see kind of how they framed it and some of the emails that go out to make sure everyone understands what's going on, publisher notes. So I know that there are components. So I just think it makes total sense to have someone in your corner who understands what's going on and has been already doing it for other people. So I really appreciate you sharing your insights. And I think books are fun. They're really great ways to engage with people about something that you've done, right? It's so unique to each writer.
I think the really special thing about a book is a book changes lives, and the work that therapists and health and wellness practitioners do is what I say about books is books change lives. I want to make books that change and improve people's lives. And that's in perfect synergy with the work of health and wellness coaches. So I just felt like this was the perfect niche for me because our values resonate. We're on the same wavelength about wanting to make a real difference positively in people's lives. And I can't think of a better way to do that than a book.
Absolutely. We all have a good book or a good couple books that have really left seeds in our heads about how things can be and what to do. So, and do you think it's still relevant for people to do hardcover, softcover, or digital only?
Oh no, print still outsells ebooks. That's been proven in studies. Print still outsells ebooks. Ebooks are obviously very popular, but then a growing thing is also audiobooks. That's something I can provide support with as well, getting your book turned into an audiobook. Podcasts have boomed since the pandemic, and audiobooks have been growing and growing since 2014. So it's like a lot of people love to listen to a book as well as read it, but print is still king.
And is there like a large amount of publishers who you work with specifically, or is it just general knowledge about, the health and wellness? I know there's a few publishers that come to my mind that I see on the back of the covers of writers that I look to, but is there a good starting place to do our own research on that?
For what, sorry? For what do you mean by publishers?
Oh, I guess like who's going to publish the books? Like
The client is the self-publisher, they're the publisher. They're publishing it under their own name. They could,
okay.
They're the self-publisher. What someone said to me a couple of years ago was, your client is not becoming an indie author, they're becoming an indie publishing company. It's a business. You've got to treat it like a business and be serious about marketing and promoting your book, or you're going to be disappointed. So they are the publishing company. It's like it's going out under whatever name they want to give their publishing company.
Okay, well, thank you for differentiating that. So in this work that you're doing, the person's actually going to be completely doing the entire process that otherwise a publisher would do part of. And what are some of the benefits of that? I'm sure there are a few.
Well, control. You've got control over how the book turns out finally. You've got control over every part of the process. I'm the guide or mentor, but the client is in the driver's seat, really. I guide them through the process and let them know what needs to be done. But if they want to invest in Facebook ads, or they decide they want a different color on the cover, or whatever they want, it's up to the client. It's their baby. But they have control, and of course they have a higher percentage of the royalties. The profits are all theirs. A traditional publishing deal, a trade publishing deal, once it's all done and said, you'll probably end up with about 10 to 15% of the cover price as your royalty. Whereas if you publish through someone like Amazon, it's 60 to 70% once you've covered your printing costs, which are minimal.
Wow. So that's a big, big advantage. Yeah, that's a really big advantage. Wow.
Well,
Awesome.
the thing too is really, really hard to get a trade publishing deal. It's not commonly done without an agent. And it's like getting an agent to even look at your book, unless you have a massive audience, like 20,000 people on Instagram or something. It's like it's really hard for them to show any interest in your work, even if it is a really good book. Unless you've got an audience that they know that they can sell to that's large, they're not going to be interested.
Okay. So this is a way to do it no matter what your audience size is. And the idea too is that that will grow and evolve, especially if you put pieces in place for people to move into once they've read the content.
Yes.
So
yes,
other products, other programs. So yeah, I can see how it all maps out. That's really neat. Well, thank you so much, Leesa, for coming on today and talking about your business and your mission. And it's great to hear that you also have a background in energy healing, and that's one of the reasons why you care so much about the health and wellness industry sector. Do you have any other closing thoughts or things you want to talk about?
Well, I'm always up for a friendly Zoom call. If anyone wants to talk to me for tips or advice, I'm always available for a Zoom call. So just feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, or LinkedIn is the best way actually. And of course my website, 3fernsbooks.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.